Good evening. I'd like to call the January 10th, 2023 Clover Garden School Board of Directors meeting to order at 6:34 p.m. Ms. Verakin, the role of the board and mission.
Role of the board, we are entrusted to care for the current school and stay focused on the vision for the future school. No trust, no unity, no progress. The mission of Clover Garden School will foster community, generate enthusiasm, challenge students academically, and produce successful citizens.
Thank you. Ms. Jackson, please make note, Mr. Brooks, Mr. Brooks and Miss at Lane are not present tonight. Has everyone had a chance to review the agenda for this evening? Are there any changes, additions? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda? Ms. Foster, second. Mr. Huffines, all in favor? Thank you. November minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the packet and the November minutes from 2022? Any questions or corrections for those minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from November 2022? Mr. Huffines, second. All in favor? Any public comment tonight, Ms. Reagan? Talk tonight. Okay. Takes us down to finances, Ms. Simmons.
The October and November 2022 monthly budget has been available for your review and open for any questions. If not, I would request a vote for October and November of 2022.
Has everyone had a chance to review those budgets? Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the October and November 2022 monthly budget? Second. All in favor? And then the 990 tax filing, Ms. Simmons.
Also for review is the 990 tax filing for the 2022 school year. And it has been electronically filed.
Thank you. So that takes us to academics, the principal's update, Ms. Spencer and Mr. Feldman.
Thank you very much. November and December, we had just an incredible plethora of events. It's a very busy place. And there's one academic event that I wanted to make sure all of you were aware of. And on November 16th, we invited families who have AIG students in their lives to the school. And I just want to quickly thank the AIG committee for all the work they did to get that event together. It was highly successful. We had a wonderful turnout. Over 80% of those invited attended, and just learned this morning that 10% of the Clover Garden population is identified as an AIG student currently.
Wow.
And we expect that number to grow with test scores and other data this year, possibly double up to 20%. So this is a really important part of our population. So kudos to that committee. I don't want to name them because I'm afraid I'll leave someone out, but they're working really hard to try to reach that population at school. Mrs. Pascal had some athletic updates she wanted me to shout out. Big win last night for the varsity boys basketball team. They defeated Graham High School by 4 points. So that was really something. Girls varsity basketball team is also having a lot of success through the midway point of the season. They only have 4 losses so far. They're doing very good. There are some events coming up this month. On the 17th, we have Cub Night, which is when K2 students will experience the basketball game. The basketball team members, as well as dance team members, will be paired with a big brother, big sister. So hopefully you'll hear more about that here in the next week ahead. And then in February on the 7th, we have Pink Out Night. And on February 9th is Senior Night. Okay. Semester 2 is off to a start, as we know, and when grades came due, Mrs. Pascal did some calculating and found out that 4 of the 5 winter sports teams have a combined or average GPA of 3.0 or higher, which is really incredible. Shows that those student athletes are being students as well as athletes on the court. And she wanted me to shout out the varsity girls basketball team for having the highest average GPA of 3.65.
Nice. Wow, that's nice.
Very, very good. Overall, we have 56 winter athletes. That's all 5 sports teams at all levels. And of those 56 athletes, 43 sported a GPA of 3.0 or higher. And 13 of the 56 had all A's. On the report.
Awesome.
So we have some just incredible talents right now, the athletes and talents in the classrooms. Really good to see. Quickly with enrollment, I know this is an area you like to have updates on. Our college and dual enrollment right now, this is coming from Mrs. Nina Miller. 37 students are taking a combined 131 college courses through ACC. So enrollment in college courses, very healthy. We do have one student who's taking classes through the Elon College Collegiate START program, and that is Mason Moffitt, who has already earned an associate's degree through ACC, and that's why he's now taking a look at Elon. There's nothing more Elon can do for Mason Moffitt. He's just such a motivating student. He's looking for more to do around the school. He wants an internship, is what I heard. Current enrollment has really not changed. We're at 678, so it's still very high, right where we want it to be. With the lottery opening, we did archive the wait list on December 31st from last year. And there were still 576 applications at the time of archiving. As of this morning at 8 a.m. for the upcoming lottery on March 3rd, we have 475 applicants. And just to put that into perspective, historically, at this time, a year ago, we had 287.
Wow. Wow.
So we're doubling, which is excellent. Yeah. I mean, truly, we love to see that. So letters of intent for current students and families to return have been distributed with report cards as of last Friday, and the deadline to return those is the last day of this month. That'll help us inform next year. Do you want to do the last part here with recognition? Student life?
Sure, that's fine. Yes, and so we do have some student recognitions. We have so 3 students that met graduation requirements in December, so some early graduates, which is super exciting. It's a Garrett Church, which will be attending RCC for mechanics. Anthony Mintz from ACC for general coursework. And then Jamie Underwood, ACC for career training will be the next step. So that's super exciting as well, where we're seeing our students excel academically and early. And so I'll roll right into our student life. So we have, as Mr. Feldman shared, a lot of things going on since last year. So some of the celebrations or celebratory things occurring here, and you'll see the slides on the screen. So of course, the winter months usher in the season of fun, spirits, and love, and all of that fun stuff. So here's what we have going on. In kindergarten, they participated in a Polar Express where the kindergarten team and other support staff literally transformed the classroom. So they watched the movie for the Polar Express, experienced a few different things, but it was such an amazing to feel the warmth and excitement. Did you get to the next slide of the students? As an adult, I was excited. Yes, so not just the classroom teacher, but other staff as well. And so just to see them collaborate and come together to have that experience for students was awesome. So shout out to them. We also participated in some winter concerts. So we had our first winter concerts for both dance and band. And as we know, we're led by Ms. Ballard. And we have a few pictures here of our young ladies. They did a phenomenal job. So we're excited about their future endeavors. We have an upcoming field trip as well this semester, and then we have another of the winter band concert, which is led by Miss Lloyd, as well a couple more from the concert, as we're also, growing in that area of band. That's a focus for her. So while we can highlight our academics and talents, we also had an opportunity to connect greater with the community with our school mentor club, which is led by Mr. Grant. They sponsored a food drive where we were able to partner with Glencoe Baptist Church. And I do want to take just a moment to read the thank you letter from them. It says, Mr. Graham, we would like to thank you for the significant donation of food items from Clover Garden. It aided in what we are able to provide to families during the month of December and will also help in the next several months to come. What a blessing it is, and what a blessing to partner with you. So just again, to be able to reach out and connect with the community, that was an awesome experience for our students. And one more picture there. And then the final thing that was, so you guys probably have seen in the weekly communications about an opportunity where some students will participate in the Any Day program sponsored by the North Carolina for Community and Justice. And it allows our students to be in the space of leadership and giving just voice, so we can kind of reimagine culture and awareness, so that we can have an inclusive environment for our students. So we are excited. The admin team, I think I can say that about that opportunity that's and then just the last slide is just again, thanks again to you all, the board. Thank you for what you do and the support that you provide.
Mr. Feldman, on the lottery, can you see what grades that breaks out that 400?
Can see that. I don't have that.
I
I
just
have
was
the
curious
current
if you could
moment.
see it.
Yes, we can see who's applied for.
I would assume majority is kindergarten.
It is. I think almost 200 kindergarten.
Again, what is the difference between the 576 and the 475?
Last year's lottery and then
Last
as
year's
of,
lottery.
yeah,
Okay.
and then as of this morning, well,
As-
last year's waiting list
That
and
was
then
the end.
as of this morning,
That was the end of the year.
Yes,
yeah,
576 was the wait list that was archived.
yeah.
The new lottery, we have 475
Okay.
applications as of this morning, and it just opened up.
It's kind of weak.
Just-
So that was the archive number.
Yeah,
Right, but we're
Current, right?
200 applications ahead of last year's pace, 280 ahead of the prior year's pace. So something.
yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. School report card, Mrs. Reagan.
All right. So this is actually in the Google Drive folder as well. And I actually sent this out to our families prior to the holidays, so you may have already received this. And then I did a version of this as well in December for some of our investors, well, on investor call, but just wanted to share with you guys and to make sure we got it in the minutes that we presented the North Carolina school report card to you. So this is the one we've been waiting on from last school year. So as you may remember, this past year was the first year since COVID, so the past 2 years, they did not give us a performance grade. They took that piece down, and they did give, we had a school report card the year prior to last year, but it did not include all of the elements. And so last year they got back to, brass tacks kind of thing, and they gave us a school performance grade. So that was a little nerve wracking, just to be completely honest with you, because that was the first time that they have done a school performance grade on us since COVID. And so we all know that there are gaps there. Our summer learning program was amazing last summer. And truly because of that summer learning program, I think we think really pushed us from what we thought we were going to be a C, just to be totally honest with you, to a B. and let us stay right where we were. So, unfortunately for some other school systems, things like that, that was not the case. It was a tough year, just getting the kids back to the routine and getting things back to normal, after being out, of school for COVID. So we are very, very proud of this B right now, which we always want to be an A, but we are very, very proud of this B. And so again, I gave you a snapshot. You can actually go online. You can just literally type into Google North Carolina School Report Card. It'll take you to a website. You can actually compare us to various schools, everybody in the state of North Carolina. It's pretty neat. So you can kind of look at us in comparison to other counties and the specific schools within that county. And that's both. That's public, traditional public schools, that's charter schools. So it just kind of gives you an idea of what, you're kind of up against. So just taking a look at this, like I said, we did receive an award. I think I put that in the Sunday message as well before the holidays, for exceeding growth in mathematics. So we were pretty excited about that last year. So we are, like I said, a level B. We have a score of 75. And then of course we met growth in our reading, but our reading is more of a focus for us this year because we did so well in math last year. Unfortunately, that kind of goes back and forth. Focus on one, then the other one falls. Focus on one, the other one falls. So we're trying to do it across the board. So, we have some specific things in place this year, really focusing and honing in on our 4th through 8th grade classes when it comes to ELA. So excited about that and getting that award from the that came from DPI and it came from the State Board of Education. So it's nice to be recognized for that. So like I said, just kind of flipping through this, you can kind of see how we do. This particular one that I put in the folder compares us to Alamance Burlington school systems. So that's a big one with the state they look at when they're evaluating charter schools. That's one of the things that can shut you down if you're not, showing growth in the county that you're in, right? So in your local LEA. So that's why I put Alamance Burlington schools on there so that you can see where we are and then where do we fall in regards to the state of North Carolina. So definitely have we're doing good with ACT, but we need some work there. Again, probably slightly below the state on that one. That was this year was the first year that they also took the ACT and put it into our school report card. So we were also stressing the relevance of our juniors taking that assessment that, hey, it does matter that you're taking this test because it does count for or against the school. So that's been an adjustment too. So the kids, I think, take that around March, but that's coming up. They'll do that again this year, and then that will be factored into our school report card grade. So again, on the next page, you're kind of looking at proficiency. And if you look at math performance and reading performance, you'll see that Clover Garden is well above the county schools and the state of North Carolina when it comes to math and reading. And then you can keep going. You can take a look at biology, English 2, math 1, math 3. Those are all those testing subject areas. Those are all the ones that go on this school report card. So, and then they look at some other measures. Such as graduation rates, how many of our kids were, retained for RTA in the 3rd grade, that they didn't reach that benchmark. And that was a pretty cool one this year. We didn't have a single 3rd grader that had to be retained because of not meeting an RTA benchmark. So kudos to our kids, our parents, and our teachers, because that is very hard, and especially coming off of 2 years of COVID. So that is a huge highlight, I think, in my book. And then it just kind of breaks down our teacher qualifications, what kind of student enrollment we have, our average course sizes, and then we also have to report suspensions, things like that. So it gives you that percentage of how we fall with the state of North Carolina and Alamance Burlington, as well as absenteeism. So those are all things that families look at, when they're researching schools and how did this school do in comparison. So it's kind of some neat things just to kind of look at that and just kind of compare us to the area schools around us. So if you go to that website, you can actually, like I said, for us, we are heavily focused on Alamance Burlington. That's where Alamance County is where a lot of our kids come from, probably the most. But if you remember from last year, we haven't looked at the analytics recently, but it's Guilford and Castle right behind it. So it's kind of interesting when you look at us compared to the area county schools as well as charters, right? So we're unofficially in competition with each other, right? We're pulling from the same wait list and things like that. So, was pretty excited, as well. I put, another document in your folder that says competitor schools. So just as a, part of our, like I said, we had an investor call in September, and the investors for our bond want to know how we're doing in comparison to the schools around us. So, this was kind of neat. This compares us specifically to the schools closest to us, the schools, we're K-12, so there's some elementary on here. There's a middle school on here, there's some high school on here, and then there's some charter here. So it's kind of neat to be able to see that. Then you can go kind of look at our enrollment compared to their enrollment, as well as their school performance grades. So you'll see this document attached to your school report card. There's about 2 pages of those. So overall, very pleased with our school report card. We have a lot of work to do this year. Just in general, some of our check-ins changed this year. Again, it's a growing year for us. It always is, but yeah, we were very pleased and very happy with last year's school report card. Any questions about that?
Just to clarify, the year you did not get a performance grade was 2020 to 21?
So they didn't do it 1920, 2021. It was 2 years. Well, 2021, you did get a school report card, but those are the 2 years of not getting, we didn't get anything, 1920. 2021, we got a school report card, but they took out the performance piece of it. Performance grade, yes, ma'am.
Performance grade.
Yeah,
For both of those years.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, and then so last year is our first real look back at it. Exactly. Yep. Thank you.
Good job to the staff and everyone, kids.
When you look at those graphs with the comparisons, that's
Mhm.
impressive.
It really is. Okay, no old business, governance. Let's go through the committee updates. For governance, Ms. Murrell. Any updates, anything new? Well, I don't think we'll have a lot. Not a lot happened in December. There are no updates for finance. Academic, Ms. Foster?
I'm sure there'll be some check-ins coming up soon.
Looking at, maybe the 14th of February, maybe prior to the board meeting or sometime in February, I'll have some information for y'all that week.
Okay, long-range planning.
All right, so we continue to have our regular meetings, OAC meetings, mainly as our bi-weekly meetings. So we had our last one last week. Just as a reminder, we started construction way back in late April. As of at the end of December, we are nearly 50% complete on our project. So even with all the nasty weather and cold weather, they're still making very good progress. So we are now 8 months of construction under our belt, as through the end of December. We're still on schedule. We are hearing some issues with materials, might be some delays, so we're trying to expedite those as much as we can. So hopefully that won't be a big impact to the schedule, but we're still keeping a close eye on that. Continue to send photos in the weekly message to all the parents. And then safety, just wanted to let everyone know that we continue to emphasize safety on the project. Contractors have all their meetings with their subcontractors, and to date, 0 safety incidents. So they place a lot of emphasis on safety, and I really, in the field that I'm in, that's very important. So I really appreciate that, seeing that the importance they put on that. So our progress, I don't have any pictures, but site work, everything's been pretty much graded. However, they did start on the stone, which is good to get us out of the mud. So they did have some pretty good weathers in order to put some stone down. As far as the building, we're making a lot of progress. If you go out there and take a look at it, it's really taking shape. Especially with our exterior and interior walls. So you're starting to see hallways and office space and classrooms and bathrooms and so like I said, it's really taking shape. But if you wonder what that purple board is, that's our gypsum board. It's a lot of purple out there right now. Continue with our CMU walls. A lot of our HVAC ductwork is going in on our first and second floor. They started a fire sprinkler system, or line since the whole building will be on a sprinkler system. And we started our roof drains. So the plumbers are back in, starting to install those roof drains. And as far as utilities, if you've been riding on Pagetown, you may get held up a little bit with traffic control. That's good news because we're putting new poles in and our new line work in on Pagetown, converting our 1-phase to a 3-phase. So very excited to see Duke Energy finally on site. And so they are planning to be complete with that by the end of this month. So they're making some really good progress. So our biggest milestone, I know there's a lot of information, but our biggest milestone right now is the end of January to get everything dried in for the building. So making a lot of progress. That's my report for today.
It's exciting. Thank you,
It
Mr.
is.
Huffines.
You're welcome.
For fundraising, I know we have a meeting tomorrow. Tomorrow. So hopefully more next month, next meeting. Any other updates for committees? Questions? Okay, new business, food inspection, Ms. Simmons.
Ma'am. The health department came out in December and did their second food inspection report, and that is available to you in the drive as well for your review. With a score of 98, and so that's just great information. If you have any questions, of course, have any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Simmons. Title I monitoring, Mrs. Verigan.
So we were monitored on our Title I program. And so they came out, they visited, they went through all of our documentation, they went through interviews with different stakeholders. And so then they provide, so we had the visit and then they provide a report. And so they provided a report, which turns out that's put into the drive as well. That just kind of breaks it down. And I think Ms. Simmons was going to share a little bit about that as well.
Yes, ma'am. So we did have our Title I monitoring. That was a few sessions ago, a few meetings ago, to let you guys know. So we have our results now, like Ms. Reagan said, and out of 22 elements that we reviewed and showed evidence of, only one element was a finding. And was a finding and was noted, and that was on the parent family engagement section. So we had 30 days to respond with an action plan, and let Ms. Reagan speak about our action plan.
So that was really big. We were excited about that, about only having one finding. So our Title I team is quite small. So if you've seen our weekly message, if you're recruiting like crazy, we need some more stakeholders to join our team. So we created an action work plan based on that finding. So again, it was great that we only had one finding, but we created a beautiful document that we submitted to DPI. And basically it breaks down kind of a timeline of like, okay, here's your finding, what are we going to do with it? Okay. So the biggest thing was about that stakeholder involvement and that feedback loop that's, that we need to have. And so that is why we were recruiting some parents, some additional teachers, things like that to sit in on this, because this is how we use our federal funds. And it is, honestly, it was a true reflection. Brady and I always look at this and we go, okay, yeah, all right. There's things that people are like, well, I don't know, what do we use that for? I'm like, what do we use that for? But then we forget, okay, they've never been in those conversations, right? They don't know. So it just the effectiveness of our program in general, we don't know that, and so it's not that they can't know that, it's just, it kind of speak around the same. So we're excited about this opportunity. We do have annual meetings and things like that, but based on our action plan that we wrote and just feedback from the folks that did the monitoring, just additional, like we need more than just that annual meeting, right? We need that feedback loop to from the parents and stakeholders that are involved in this. And so we are action plan wise, there are 3 documents that they want us to revise. One of them is our school compact, which is very similar to our school partnership agreement, our parent-student partnership agreement that goes home every school year, that I am very ashamed to say, probably hasn't been edited in years. That was something, in the beginning stages of the school. And it needs to be updated, so rightfully so. So we are working on that and making sure that the federal guidelines are listed in this document, which kind of just summarizes what our promise is as a school, what the expectations are from our families, and from our students. And so we kind of have a version of that, but we need to edit and update that and make that, corrected. And then the other two documents are parent and family engagement policies and plans. And so we got a little bit of clarity on that because even we were, I don't understand what the difference is, because even on some of the schools we researched, for example, they had policies / plan, and so it was very confusing for us. And so when they asked us those questions, we were like, okay, well, help us, help us clarify that. So we feel a whole lot better about the policy versus plan. And so we've started doing some preliminary drafts of those three documents, but again, the purpose is to get those stakeholders involved. So we're going to kind of draft it based on the feedback that the monitors gave us, and then distribute those at the meeting and say, here, chop it up, like help us, here's a copy of the federal guidelines that we have to follow because we're getting federal funds. Give me some feedback on this program. And so those three documents are going to be reviewed soon, once we get our team members. And I've been excited. Ms. Simmons has gotten a couple of those that said, hey, yeah, I'll sit in the lap, so I'm getting a little better, I feel better about, we keep talking about engagement and bringing our parents in, our families, and they're coming out and they're saying, hey, yeah, give me something, I want to be part of that. So we'll kind of see how that goes, but we submitted our plan, and then they will be, so we, submitted it by the deadline, and then they'll be in touch with us on making sure that we are sticking to our plan, right, and that we are, continue to be in compliance. So, any questions about that? Title one.
Thank you. The next item is the CHTRO 14 amendment. I know we need a vote on this, Ms. Barakin.
Yes, ma'am. So, we're gonna break it down. We went back over the requirements more time to 2 votes, and I'll explain what the 2 votes are that we're looking for. So, getting in good with the NCTPI and Office of Charter Schools and making sure that our expansion, we're, following all the boxes, checking all the boxes and doing everything that we need to do on that end. So a lot of it comes down to documentation, and making sure that our charter matches, what we are doing. And so, as schools grow and change over time, like I think the last time we amended our charter was back when we did our calendar, we changed our calendar. So anytime we do a change, like an academic change or some type of structural difference or, those kind of things, you have to get approval for that. And then you have to, file it with the Office of Charter Schools. And, at times, depending on what, there's a category of where it falls, sometimes you have to get State Board of Education approval. That's just kind of their procedures for how those processes work. So, the first one, that we need a vote on tonight is that we need to update our charter and add an amendment to reflect that our high school is being relocated to our new location at 5806 Pagetown Road, Burlington, North Carolina. So this is a requirement for that Charter 14 legislation, and it will require a board vote of approval. So they need us to have it written out specifically worded that way, in our minutes that we are, because our initial charter says K-12, a 2454 out to Mahal Union Ridge Road. So because we're moving the high school over and you're going to have 2 separate locations, we have to note that. So we just have to vote for approval on that. So that's the first. Are there any questions about that? We go ahead and go to the second one since it kind of ties into the same. Okay. So that's the first one. And then the second one has to do with the same amendment. Please. Hang on, yeah, sorry. Has to do with that same Charter 14 legislation. So this one has to do with, because we are increasing enrollment. So we are adding more kids, we're bringing in more kids. So per this same Charter 14 legislation, we must have board meeting minutes showing approval to request the enrollment increase from 685 up to 980. So we have to have in there because there's an allotted amount that you can have based on your charter, based on your history, things like that. It could be 30% of your ADM. So that puts us at like 891. Hang on. Yeah, 891 would be like the max they would let us do because they have us at 685 and then they do 30% of that. And that puts you at 891. Well, we are requesting, like I said, to have up to potentially the maximum, on that facility at some point. And so that would put us at 680. So because it goes over, I'm sorry.
980.
That's right, 980. So because it puts us above that 30%, they require that you vote on that to increase your enrollment size.
Did I understand you say that it would not probably be at 980
No.
in the
Yeah.
beginning?
No, we said, we put in there like up to, and they may make us edit that, because there's like 3 phases of this, so we put in the initial like maximum, like this is how many we could potentially have and hold at the new location based on, all our septic requirements. So that's what like your maximum at this point, is the 980. So as we go down and there's like a phase 1 and then like another phase 2, and you'll true up those numbers. And so it'll be more like what we've been telling everybody, where it's, 946 is our magic number. So no, not all next year. So they may make us go back and say, "Oh, you need to put specifically," which is probably what's going to happen as we true up that number closer to the school year starting. We just wanted to make sure we had it out there so that in the years coming, if we want to add in and bring in up to that many, we'd have the availability to do so.
So your motion is going to request up to the maximum
Yes.
of 980.
980.
Mhm.
Can have the paper with the
Yes, I
address.
was saying, give this, deck.
I don't think I'm gonna remember the address off the top of my head.
This one is the first one.
Okay,
And that's kind of where I just highlighted it. So if you do that, that's what I'm requesting there. And then this one is for the same legislation, we must have the minutes showing approval from an increase from 685 to 980. You don't need any of this. My notes.
okay. Any questions before we go on these votes? Questions, comments, concerns? Okay. So the first motion that we need to vote on is to update our charter and add an amendment to reflect our high school. Grades 9 through 12 will be relocated to 5806 Pagetown Road, Burlington, North Carolina. This is a requirement per our Charter 014 legislation and requires our vote. Do I have a motion to approve this? Mr. Huffines, second, Ms. Merrill, all in favor? Perfect. Our second motion we need to vote on for the same Charter 014 legislation. We must have in our board meeting minutes showing approval for the increase in enrollment from 685 up to 980. Do I have a motion to approve? Mr. Huffines, second, Ms. Merle, all in favor? Thank you, perfect. Do you have those, Ms. Jackson, or do you need to? Okay, any other new business? Okay, if there's no other new business, the motion to move into closed session at for general statute 143-18.11A5. Do I have a motion to move into closed session? Mr. Huffines, second. Ms. Foster, all in favor? Please note, we're moving into closed session at 7:13 p.m.